Hey, everybody. Well, one of the things that we wanted to do and we'll continue to build on is, we've been doing some of those talks with my friend Michael Scholes when we were talking about oils in depth, and his schedule's gotten a little bit busy. And the last time we did this really great thing on spikenard, and I forgot to push play, record. So note to self, don't let Greg run the video equipment. So with that, part of why we're doing that is I've been working on it now for quite a while. Whenever I have extra time and everything, we're doing an encyclopedia of oils that is pretty involved. Like it's a lot of oils. It's a lot of tedious work, and in between doing booklets and doing the things for Astara, we try to pull things together so that we can give you guys more than things that are just out there, information wise. And so one of the things that we're also trying to do, I'm not as far along with this, is to do the same thing but with the blends. There are times where you end up with a blend from a particular class, and then you kind of go like, what should I do with this? What else does this do? What can I use this for? Normal questions. And we want to take time and kind of digest some of the things that have already been coming at you for a while, and things that you could use for multiple things that maybe are not aware of. So the one that we're going to focus on today is just an old bread and butter blend, Chakral Root Cleanser. And if you don't have Chakral Root Cleanser, because we are going to do a little bit of a practice, but we're going to talk about it first. We'll give you some substitute single oils that you can use, but I think a lot of people that have been doing the classes for a while have been exposed to or have a bottle or two of Chakral Root Cleanser in their kit. And so let's just talk about Chakral Root Cleanser a little bit more in depth. So this is actually one of the early blends that made the cut. This and Emotional Release were two of my very first pretty successful blends, back about 30 years ago. And it's gone through a lot of changes through the time. It's gotten refined quite a bit, and it has oils in it that weren't available 30 years ago. And so I'm really happy with the new version of this particular oil. It's a combination of things that are very cleansing, very purifying to the emotional and the mental body, and they open up all the energy centers. And so let's go and talk about kind of blow by blow some of the things that it does. And then it doesn't necessarily have the tendency in itself, but when you run it through a pattern, it can also do something that it wouldn't normally do on its own. Okay, so with that, Chakral Root Cleanser for basic understanding is it deeply cleanses the roots of all the chakras. When you're looking at the chakra, there's the surface of the chakra, and then it comes kind of in a funnel shape, and it eventually ends up in the central channel. And a little bit deeper past the surface is a protective web. And then even deeper starts to be the root of the chakra that's going into the central channel. And so a lot of times when we're dealing with diseased energies, when we're dealing with psychological energies, and they're very deep, or they're very unconscious, or they're in a part of the body that's very impacted, the energy that needs to come out is actually stuck in the root of the chakra. And so the confusion sometimes is that in the 7 chakra system, they'll call the basic chakra the root chakra. And this is actually cleansing the root of all the chakras. It's not necessarily for the basic chakra, it is for each and every chakra. And this could be used to clean the joints, It could be used to clean the digestive tract. It could be used to clean just about anything. If you use Chakral Root Cleanser along with any other blend, it will augment the other blend. It will make it work more effectively. Right? Now, part of what it does is it opens up the channels or the meridians in the body. So it allows for there to be a flow of energy up and down the areas that you apply it to. So if you apply it to the arm, say you have a shoulder issue, if you apply it to the other joints, the energy will flow down the arm. Now, why is this important? When there's a greater flow of energy going to a particular body part, it has the energy or the gasoline to heal at a much faster rate. Usually the rate is slower when an area is diseased because it's dirty and it's not getting as much energy because the channels are somewhat closed down. Now, this is done through somewhat through the cleansing process, but it has also two kinds of mugwort. It has mugwort and artemisia, which are very good for opening up the energy channels or the chakras. And so this combined with like eucalyptus and tea tree and palo santo and hyssop, all of these things have a big impact on cleansing the body. And then the artemisia and the mugwort open up these channels. Just by the act of applying it to the body, you're starting to raise the vibration of the body, right? When you raise the vibration of the body, part of what's happening is, for one, your body's processes are working better. They're working more effectively. They're functioning at a much higher rate. This usually means that the energy centers or the chakras have gotten bigger, right? When they get bigger, they pump more. They inhale more fresh, healthy, clean energy, and they exhale out more dirty, used up energy. Anytime a chakra gets bigger, it means increased soul contact. So just by going through and cleaning the body like this, you're starting to prepare the body for spiritual energy, and you're increasing soul contact. Mm-hmm. Now, with this particular blend is actually closely associated with the Archangel Metatron. It's actually one of the 75, 76, I think it's 76 names of Metatron. And so it has to do with essence, helping to improve or increase the higher vibration of essence that passes through the body. Just by putting it on the body, regardless of where you put it, it actually starts to activate the heart, the crown, and the navel. Now, the reason why this is important is when the heart and the navel become activated, the heart starts to take over the functions of the navel, not take over, but give it like sort of directions. And basically the heart starts to regulate the lower nature or the lower drives. When the heart and the crown become activated, you have an increase of soul contact. So when you have the heart, navel, and crown being activated, the heart is controlling the drives of the lower nature, and it's increasing the contact of the higher soul. You have three centers: the crown, the forehead, the ajna. These are all associated with the higher soul. The throat is the abyss or the void, which we just kind of covered from last weekend. And then the heart is the first center, the highest center that has to do with the lower realm or the realm of the incarnated soul. So the heart and the crown are passing the void, right? There is a connection between the two. So there's a merger between the higher soul and the incarnated soul in this particular practice. So with that, used on a regular basis, you're increasing the potential of greater soul contact or greater direction from the higher soul. So because of this, it helps to improve the function of the pineal gland and the mental permanent seed. The mental permanent seed is how you process information from the higher soul. Think of the mental permanent seed as the terminal in the higher soul being the mainframe computer, how you access that information is from the terminal. You know, you don't go to the mainframe computer, you have to go to a terminal to get that information. And so the more this becomes activated, the higher potentials you have for intuition or inner guidance. This also helps to prepare the body for deeper work with the alchemical processes of the zodiac. So we're going to be talking about that more a little bit later in the year. You know, we have the class, the alchemical processes of the zodiac. We're going to be integrating that into some of the processes that will come in some of the study groups and things like that. But it basically helps to spiritualize the body. It helps to increase the soul contact and maintain it over a period of time rather than just during your meditations. The goal is not to be super focused on soul contact, and then when you take your focus off, it goes away. We want to be in a state of oneness, right? In a state of oneness. So part of that is done through the alchemical processes of the zodiac. Now, physically, it has a very big impact on the deep lymphatic movement within your body. You have lymphatic movement that happens along the skin. Then you have kind of a regular or superficial type of lymphatic movement. And then you have lymphatic movement that's very deep. Deep within the internal organs, deep in and around the bones and in the joints. And so it is part of what helps you to physically and physiologically heal when there is pain, inflammation, or just a organ or body part that is healing at a very slow rate. It can be used for pretty much any condition. I mean, augmented with some other things, Chakral Root Cleanser, I mean, there's nothing that you couldn't use it for. It's pretty solid in what it does. Now, psychologically, it releases energies from the unconscious, right? So the reason why I made this so many years ago was that I had clients where we were doing deep psychological work, or we were doing work with, you know, manipulating the body, and we're wanting to release some of the deep-seated psychological energies. In Jungian psychology, this would be like the releasing things from the unconscious or from the shadow self, right? And so this blend was originally made to help release things from the unconscious that people, you know, it's not that they're thinking about it and making, you know, odd decisions. It's that a lot of times we're not even aware that these certain patterns or these tendencies are even in us. So it is to help release things from deep within the unconscious. And the unconscious can also be the physiological impact that impacts our emotional or mental body. Now, it's for the emotional body, it's super, super soothing. You know, if you have, it's always a little bit agitated or has a tendency to get agitated very easily, or you have a lot of stress in your life or a chaotic situation, the emotional body needs to be soothed, calmed. Over a period of time, using the Chakral Root Cleanser will calm and soothe the emotional body, so that over a period of time, you'll notice that you're not quite as agitated as you were before. You're not quite as reactive as you were before. It's a good general psychological healer, right? Good general. It helps somebody who is a little too introverted, you know, a little bit too more inwardly turned, and it can help the person become more extroverted, right? It helps them to express more outward. Now, if somebody is also internally inflexible, like they're kind of rigid and inflexible, Chakral Root Cleanser helps to increase the inner flexibility. It also helps to increase physical flexibility. Like if you put it on your joints and you did like, stretches and things before you use Chakral Root Cleanser, you put it on the joints. According to a top physical therapist that's in our group, she's one of the top people in the country. And she says that she gets about 30% more movement. They get more flexibility, an increase of almost a third. I mean, that is super, super substantial. That's tied to the cleansing effect and the oils, but there is one particular oil in there, kunzia, that is very good for increasing flexibility in conditions where the body is very rigid. It also helps with internal inflexibility. It helps to purify when we have been exposed to people who are really negative or toxic, or there has been psychic attack directed at you. So it basically helps to release psychic energies from other people. It purifies the autonomic nervous system. So this is tied between you shifting from fight, flight, and then into rest and repair. And sometimes there's so much stimulation for fight, flight that it's hard for your body to shift into rest and repair. And sometimes the rest and repair mechanisms actually even start to lose a little bit of tone. So this actually has a cleansing effect on that nervous system that helps to balance these things out. This blend actually helps to strengthen and improve theta. This has to do with like things emotionally, mentally falling away, a state where you go into a state of calmness and things just kind of literally fall away in your emotional, mental body. Now, when used in the sinus pattern, it helps to reduce fear. When used in the digestive pattern, it actually helps to reduce stress. When used with the pattern that goes through like the arms and the legs and then ends with the heart, this pattern, it helps to reduce the physiological emotions, right? Physiological emotions. So we are going to do a little protocol with this, but before that, let's have maybe a couple of questions.
We had a couple of questions typed in. Someone asked, for someone who is not spiritual, would regular use of the Chakral Root Cleanser make them more spiritual without them realizing it?
Probably. Yeah, that might. And the other one to use for something like that is, it's not a pretty smelling one, but galbanum. Galbanum can help somebody, like in the old days, in the Jewish tradition, they would give galbanum to people who were not repenting their sins. They were justifying their actions based on their lower nature and their lower nature drives, and they weren't really coming at it from a spiritual point of view. So they would give the person galbanum over a period of time, and they would say that over a period of time, they would start to realize the consequences of their actions, and then they would start eventually repenting their sins.
And Carol, your hand's raised.
Hey, Carol.
Hi, Greg and Samantha.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, good. Thanks so much for the weekend. It was absolutely fantastic. My favorite.
It's great to see you.
Amazing. It was lovely. So, Greg, I just have a question. You said to me that cleaning the arms and legs, the chakras, would be really good for. Would this be the perfect thing to use for me?
It would definitely be one of the ones I would put in the mix. You could do with a couple of different things, but this one's pretty solid. It helps to reduce a lot of the physiological emotions, which are usually a response to like difficulty, obstacles, trauma, things like that. And so, I mean, you definitely could be using that for that. Yeah. Great.
And which pattern should I do the full body?
It's the one. Let me look it up and I'll tell you. I don't think I have a name for it. It is. Yeah, it starts off with, maybe we'll just call this the forehead pattern. Let me just type that in real quick. So we'll call this the forehead pattern, but it basically starts off with the forehead and then the basic. Let me just send it over to you. Oh, okay. I was just trying to. Hips, knees, ankles, soles of the feet, armpits, elbows, wrists, palms, and then front heart, and then ending with back heart.
Great. Thanks, Greg.
You're so welcome. Let us know how that works for you.
I will.
And Peggy, your hand's raised.
Hey, Miss Peggy.
Hello, you might have just answered the question. Again, thank you guys for all you do. We have someone I'm working with, an historian that has had COVID and has had the very complicated after the fact, and she has a lot of anger, and justified for her perspective, at all the things she's running into and the process. And so would this help, even if she didn't necessarily believe that it would help with her anger?
It possibly could. Sometimes the anger is can be the immune system, could be lower emotions that are just, a reaction to the situation. I mean, it would definitely be a good place to start. Would definitely open up the channels. A lot of times when you open up the arms and the legs, it flushes out a lot of emotions in a way that's very, very soothing.
Yeah.
And so always a good place to start.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And the thing is you don't even have to have them inhale the pattern. You could just have them like dab a little bit on each of the joints. If they hit it on the chakras, great, but the joints of the arms and the legs would be crucial. And if they just do that, it will have an impact.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll pass this on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tajal, you have your hand raised.
Hey, Tajal.
Hi, thank you so much for giving me time, Greg. I have a couple of questions. So last weekend class was so awesome.
Let's keep on Chakral Root Cleanser for right now, and then a little bit later we'll do just any questions.
Okay, so I have different than Chakra Root Cleanser,
Okay.
Root Cleanser questions. So maybe later you can give me some time.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I have 3-4 questions.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
When you were talking about the Chakra Root Cleanser addressing the physiological emotions, what are physiological emotions?
Physiological emotions are emotions that are generated by your physiology, and your body actually generates emotions, and then your mental capacity also generates some emotions. So when you think something, it produces an emotional response. If you feel something, it produces a thought, a mental thought. And so part of our psyche is that we generate, things we think about generates an emotional response, but also our body generates emotional responses. And so when the body wants you to take action to help you thrive in the environment, it generates an emotional response for you to be more motivated to take that action. So the example that I always use is your hand goes onto a hot stove. Without that emotional response, you're taking your hand off that hot stove takes several seconds longer. But if you have the emotional response of ow, you do that emotional response of like fear and 911 helps you to take a quicker action so that your body doesn't get as injured, right? So when you have difficulties out in the external world, things like anger, irritation, stress, all of these things are physiological emotions that can be generated, but their root cause is actually the body. They refer to this as homeostatic thinking, but it's more of actually an emotion. So a lot of the emotions that people feel are lower emotions or emotions coming from their body. Eventually it integrates and you start to have a thought process, because as soon as you have an emotion, then it produces a mental thought, right? So some of our thoughts are from our psyche and some of our thoughts and emotions are from our body. So when they're from our body, they are physiological in nature.
Tracy, your hand's raised.
Hey, Tracy.
Hey, so I was the one that asked that question. So would that be considered primary emotions?
Primary?
Are they different? Primary emotions are supposed to be like fear, love, hate, anger, and then the secondary emotions are what you think about, like.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay.
Yeah. What's that from?
Google.
Oh, Google. Yeah, I love that.
Thank you.
Sabine, your hand's raised.
Hey, Sabine.
We'll have to unmute you. Let's see. I don't know if you're talking, but we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, sorry about that. My question was,
Please.
you mentioned applying chakra root cleanser to various chakras, the physical application of the oil versus doing it in a pattern. Are there different effects, or is it a matter of different strengths?
It's when you inhale it and you direct it in the body, it's actually probably a little bit stronger. But if you're dealing with somebody where you're doing therapy, or you're dealing with somebody who's not going to do it, or if you want to magnify the thing that you're already doing, you can put it on the same chakras that it's associated with the pattern. So you could put it on the joints, you could put it on, if you're treating something physical, sometimes the physical application can be a bit stronger, but if you're dealing with psychological things, the inhalation is stronger.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Would it help with someone with rheumatoid arthritis who's in pain a lot?
It would help, but I would still use like the joint relief and things that increase blood flow, blood supply, but it would help. I mean, rheumatoid arthritis, I usually start off with the joint relief right off the bat, and then eventually start to work into some either deposits, with the arthrocare or chakra root cleanser.
And then what is in the complete blend?
Good question. Let me look it up. It is tea tree, golden eucalyptus, quinzia, palo santo, cypress, basil, hyssop, St. John's wort, mugwort, artemisia, and frankincense vital.
In the allergies class, there's a protocol for fear using aloes and ombre with the lower chakra pattern. Is using chakra root cleanser with the sinus pattern to address fear do the same?
Well, you know, there's different kinds of fears. And so it addresses fear, but it doesn't address the same fears. I know that's kind of splitting hairs, but there's so many different kinds of fears. And there's different stages of fears. It could be helpful, but like that, the one for the allergy class was really specific for those conditions. This wouldn't necessarily hit the ones for the allergy related fears that come up.
What condition were you saying to apply the chakra root cleanser with the forehead pattern? What was the condition?
It was for clearing out physiological emotions.
Can it be used on all chakras before doing a
Yeah.
Kundalini meditation?
Yeah, yeah.
Will it clean the root there?
Yeah. Boy, several years ago, we had several meditation groups who were applying it to either all the chakras, or they would put it like on their forehead and crown, and then they would do the Kundalini practice. Makes the meditation much deeper.
Now, how does chakra root cleanser work with the materialization breath?
It just helps to release, like the materialization breath starts to be a different thing, but it helps to release the resistances that are in the unconscious to bring whatever it is into the heart. Okay, so let's do a protocol with this before we get into questions.
Oh, can you take it internally?
I probably wouldn't. There's a few oils in there that are not the best to be taken internally. It's got a lot of mugwort and artemisia, hyssop. You know, even eucalyptus isn't the greatest to be taken internally. You know, if you take a little tiny bit, it's okay, but I would say no. It's best inhaled and best topical. I actually played with it a little bit internally, and by far it's better topical or inhaled. Okay, so let's do this. Pull out Chakral Root Cleanser if you have it, and if you don't, let's have you pull out like either mugwort or palo santo or hyssop. You don't have those, even a eucalyptus. Okay, notice how you feel. Think about your week. And we're going to get started with the sinus pattern. So begin inhaling. Your awareness is between your eyebrows or the Ajna chakra. Keep inhaling, keep taking long, slow, deep breaths. Now go to your throat, in the middle of your throat. The throat minor, the bottom of the throat. And the cheek minors under each cheekbone. And then the jaws where they hinge in front of the ears. And then to the ears, the ear minors, the holes in your ears. The back heart. The area between your shoulder blades, the back heart. The front solar plexus, the area below the ribs. In your back solar plexus, your mid back area. And then just be still, be aware. Notice how you feel. Keep your eyes closed and just notice how you feel. Okay, we're going to do the digestive pattern right now. So begin inhaling again. Your awareness is on your front solar plexus. Move to your back solar plexus, the middle of your back. Over to your spleen on the left-hand side below the ribs, the front and back area. So under your ribs and then the direct corresponding area on the back side. Down to your navel. An inch and a half below your navel. The bottom of your tailbone, the basic chakra. The soles of your feet. Just be still, be aware, keep your eyes closed. Just be still. Notice how you feel. We're going to do the forehead pattern. This is to flush out just any lower emotions that there. So begin inhaling. Your awareness is on your forehead. Move your awareness to the bottom of the tailbone. The hips. The knees, the front and back of the knees. The ankles. The soles of your feet. your armpits, your elbows, your wrists, the palms of your hands, your front heart, and the back heart, the middle of your upper back, between the shoulder blades. Just be still, be aware, just let go. Let go of everything, just let go. Okay, so be still. Let go of everything. Just be still. Okay, how do you feel? Let's go ahead and share how you feel. You can unmute or type in.
I feel very relaxed, very comfortable, very like I got a total body kind of
makeover.
Yeah, it's kind of take some tension out of the body.
Yeah. Feels
Like
good. Thank you.
if you think of something that's kind of stressful, do you have kind of that same response, or?
I think maybe I was a little stressed about my friend who's got so much justified anger. Nothing I can do about it but pray for her. But
Yeah.
I think maybe I had a little stress before we started this pattern. That's why I feel so much better, I think.
Yeah, good.
Good. Thank you.
I feel a tad lightheaded, stable, much better, so much better, very mellow. My body is relaxed, but my head feels spacey. I'm melting into my chair. Someone did write earlier, my fear from one family member is coming up. How can I let it go?
Fear about one of the family members? Is it an active situation, or is it something from the past?
Past.
Past, like more than 10 years, more than 20 years?
No, not more than 10 or 20 years.
Okay, so last 5 years or so?
Less than 2 years.
Less than 2 years. Okay, but the situation is not active anymore. It's not generating new fears all the time.
No.
So one of the things that you can do when you've gone through and done this and there's something that's still popping up, and we can all do it kind of together, is sit and inhale the oil and think of the situation. So think of the person, think of the issue, think of like if it's something stressful, something that's causing you difficulty, some sort of obstacle, sit and inhale the oil and think of the difficulty, or in this case, the person or the situation with this person. So let's all do it. So pull the bottle out and just take some long, slow, deep breaths. Keep thinking of that person or that situation.
What if you don't know what's stuck in the heart?
It just feels like something stuck in the heart. And is that the same person with the fear, or is somebody different? But something stuck in the heart. Well, sometimes when it feels like it's stuck in the heart, it's usually more the solar plexus, but you can do front and back heart and then front and back solar plexus, and that should usually get it. The person who is having fear with the family member, is that shifting or changing?
Not much.
See, I let go, I let go, I let go.
They just did it.
Keep thinking of that person, keep inhaling, and then just keep saying, I let go, I let go, I let go. Put your awareness, everybody, let's put your awareness on the Ming Men. So opposite the navel on the back side. to the back heart. To the crown. Be still. Let everything go for a moment. How's that person feeling? The person with the fear, how are you feeling?
Relaxed.
So it's passing. Okay. Anybody else want to share?
Sabine, your hand's raised.
Hey, Sabine.
Hi, I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. I felt myself getting really, really calm and very centered,
Mhm.
which was nice. It started out like a lot of times it starts out for me, my body gets either super hot or super cold.
Okay.
And then I recognize it now as a state that I just sort of travel through, and I just sort of recognize it and go through it. But I'm just curious why this always happens.
Usually when you have like either a heat response or a cold kind of response, is it's either energy starting to move up or move down, and it's tied to the nadis of the nostrils. And so, you know, it's in the symbol of the caduceus that have those two intertwined snakes, one's red, one's blue.
Mhm.
And so sometimes when there's a descent of divine energy and it takes a little bit for the two channels to balance out, you'll either feel, depending on which channel it is, it will either feel hot or cold for a little bit. It usually passes, but it's just, it's taking a little bit for the two nadis to balance out, you know, which means that then energies flow down and up very easily. But at first, you know, it could just be, sometimes it's things stuck in our spine, and sometimes it could just be the stresses of the day or something like that. And it's like you could not have it for months and then, you know, have it from time to time. But that you have it every time, there's probably something stuck in the spine, I would imagine. And so if you wanted, you could just even using the Chakral Root Cleanser or whatever you were using, you could even just put your awareness on different parts of the spine, you know, starting at the low back and then just keep working your way up. And that will help unblock those things and help clear them.
Good, I will do that. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
because it's
yeah.
such a distinct feature of me.
Yeah, that's like the other thing is like you can actually literally, instead of inhaling like this, you could literally just go like in through one nostril and then, you know, give it a second and then do it again from the other nostril and then just keep going back and forth. That will also break up the blockage in the spine.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So
Thank you,
either way.
thank you.
Yeah.
I just drove 6 hours round trip to pick up my car, which broke down a few days ago. I got back 5 minutes before this class and now feel like I've been relaxing all day.
Yeah, good.
It has removed all stress and I feel really relaxed. So glad I got back in time.
Yeah, glad your car got repaired and you got back home. Yeah, good. Okay, so we're just going to end this recording, but we're still going to stay on for about another 45 minutes or so, and or even a little bit longer, 50 minutes, and we'll do some questions, some Q&A. So let us just end this recording.